I did.
Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please, Terry.
Brennan.
Here.
Sharpton is excused. Dahoff.
Here.
Fawcett.
Here.
Hathaway.
Here.
King.
Here.
Kulzer.
Here.
Howerhand. Here. Mosier.
Here.
Tabo.
Here. If everyone please rise, we'll have an invocation. Heavenly Father, we ask for your blessing upon our assembled group this evening. We pray that you continue to enlighten our minds as we try to make our community a better place for all to live. Help and guide us through these troubling times where families struggle to make a living and drug abuse continues to plague our community. We pray for our good health and for loved ones that have gone before us. Legislator Hathaway has a few words to add.
Thank you. I also would like us to remember D-Day. We've had several people from our county that were involved with D-Day. One I knew personally, and the stories he told were just incredible. He was a corpsman trying to identify people, and I just would like us to remember those that passed and to remember those that survived, the memories that they took with them. We could just have a moment of silence for that. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Now our pledge to the flag. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All legislators should have received a copy of the May 2nd meeting minutes. Does anyone have any corrections at this time? If not, the minutes stand approved. Go to the Rules and Legislation Committee per Rule 6. Terry?
The Rules and Legislation Committee is met, and they recommend to waive the rules to act upon late resolutions this evening.
Moved by Brian, second by Larry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, before we continue with our regular meeting, we have the honor to recognize many outstanding individuals of our community this evening. We're always proud Lewis County and when our young people and elder people get out and do so much for our community, we feel it's time to recognize them. So therefore, we're going to start out with someone that has devoted quite a few years to making Lions Falls a better place. It was so noted that she was invited to attend Albany to hold their New Yorkers Day celebration. So at this time, Terry, would you care to read that proclamation?
A proclamation commending Catherine Leindecker. Whereas a lifelong resident, Katie chose to make a difference in her community by being the driving force behind creating the Forest Finds thrift store in Lions Falls, repurposing donated quality items to assist those in need. She was responsible for energizing and reactivating the dedicated Lions Falls Alive group of community-minded residents to promote commercial and recreational activities, actively guiding the planning of the annual July Falls Festival. Katie assisted to successfully garner grant funding for the creation of the new Canal Basin Park, while inciting community volunteers to build stone walls and an elevated deck and install amenities that attract its utilization. As a former 6-year village mayor and thereafter, Katie has worked tirelessly to revitalize the defunct Lions Falls pulp and paper mill property and facilitated installation of natural gas lines through the village so that residents could realize energy savings. Katie wholeheartedly believes and embraces the meaning of teamwork to accomplish her promoted projects and goals. The residents of the Village of Lions Falls are certainly the primary benefactors of Katie's efforts. The benefits extend well beyond the village borders, including those who visit and participate in the many local recreational events. Whereas Katie Leindecker embodies the meaning of a civic servant and as a worthy candidate was recognized at the 2017 Older New Yorkers Day celebration recently held in Albany for her advocacy, volunteer work, and civic engagement. Now therefore, I, Michael A. Tabo, on behalf of the Lewis County Board of Legislators, do hereby record our appreciation and admiration for all of the community service and efforts put forth by Katie Leindecker that have enhanced and improved the overall quality of life in her community and illustrates the qualities to which all citizens should aspire.
Andrew, would you like to join me now? And Rocky, I think you had a few words, brief words to add.
Katie was also honored at the 2016 Randy Streeter Senior Citizen of the Year presentation sponsored by Lewis County Office of the Aging. Honors older volunteers who have demonstrated an outstanding contribution to seniors of Lewis County, the community, or have shown a sincere and faithful dedication to senior citizens through their personal actions.
Thank you, Katie, for your service to our community.
Thank you very much for this honor. I couldn't have done it without my husband, Paul, who's been very understanding through all the many projects that I've done throughout the many years. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
And now part two. Beaver River Central School did exceptionally well in state and world competition. Odyssey of the Mind team. So we'd like them to step forward now. Could Skylar Schmidt, Liam Mahoney, Dane Millward, Natalie Streeter, Kelsey Bowers, Ruby Coaster, Nobly Coaster, all step forward along with their coach, Jennifer Wright, and Paula Batu-Young.
Come this way so the cameras can get you.
Brian will help me present this proclamation while Phil Hathaway reads it. Phil, would you like to proceed?
I consider it a privilege. Whereas the Beaver River Central School Odyssey of the Mind team competed at the state level on April 8, 2017 in Binghamton, placing second among 5 teams in the high school Ottawa category. Whereas the Beaver River Odyssey of the Mind team was comprised of Skylar Schmidt, Liam Mahoney, Dane Millard, Natalie Streeter, Kelsey Bowers, Ruby Gloucester, and Nobly Gloucester, coached by librarian Jennifer Wright, and whereas their formal presentation was a humorous story about a family that brings home an Ottawa that learns from watching others. Whereas, being the first Beaver River World qualifying team in 15 years, the team went on to the championships competition at Michigan State University, tying for 7th place, were the only team that had topped their squad in the state competition. And whereas, the students not only worked hard honing their presentation skills, but they also coordinated and participated in community events and fundraising activities to offset their traveling costs to attend the competitive events. And whereas the students of the Beaver River Central School Odyssey of the Mind team are a source of pride to their school, their community, and Lewis County, the Board of Legislators wishes to recognize their admirable representation and outstanding performance at the state and world stage levels. Now therefore, on behalf of the Lewis County Board of Legislators, I, Phil, on behalf of Michael Tabo, do hereby recognize and commend the 2017 Beaver River Central School Odyssey Team of the Mind for their distinguished character and achievements. Maybe someday they can tell me what an Autobot is.
for our Lowville students who did equally well in national competition with Daniel Bates, Grace Metzler, Elise Merrill, Evan Rubenzahl, Andrea Young, and their coaches. My coaches Sue Rubenzahl, her husband Sam, and anyone else I missed, please step forward. I guess Anna Leindecker and Sarah Leindecker were involved as well. Gotcha. Okay, and Terry will be reading that proclamation, and I think Andrea will help me present this proclamation.
The Laval Academy and Central School Odyssey of the Mind team competed at the state level on April 8th in Binghamton, placing first among 16 teams in the high school to be continued a superhero cliffhanger category. Daniel Bates, Grace Metzler, Elise Merrill, Evan Rubenzahl, and Andre Young had initially participated on the Laval Academy School Odyssey of the Mind team as second graders, being joined in fourth grade by Anna Leindecker and Sarah Leindecker. Coached by third grade teachers Susan Rubenzahl and her husband Samuel, the septet had placed fifth at the 2016 state competition. Their formal presentation was a story about a superhero finding ways to save creativity from a nemesis. They captured the title of it by attaining a perfect score in the spontaneous competition that required them to quickly comprise Jeopardy-style questions for 6 words, and, in keeping with the team name, Pun Direction, all of their responses include puns. Being the first Laval Academy World Qualifying Odyssey of the Mind team in 9 years, they went on to the championships competition held at Michigan State University, tying for 10th place. The students not only worked hard honing their presentation skills, but had also coordinated and participated in community events and fundraising activities to offset their traveling costs to attend the competitive events. The students of the Laval Academy and Central School Odyssey of the Mind team are a source of pride to their school, community, and Lewis County, and the Board of Legislators wishes to recognize their admirable representation and outstanding performances at the state and world stage levels. Now therefore, on behalf of the Lewis County Board of Legislators, I, Michael A. Taball, do hereby recognize and commend the 2017 Laval Academy and Central School Odyssey of the Mind team for their distinguished character and achievements.
Again, we thank you for attending our meeting this evening, and I know you're on a time schedule, so feel free to leave at any time. I've heard that you have, this is just part of your school activities. You're busy people. I couldn't keep up with you. But thanks again. It's great of you to show up, and we do appreciate everything you've done to represent our county. Okay, and at this time, I'll open the public hearing for comments on projects for a CDBG grant application. Does anyone have any comments at this time? Eric Burkler.
Thank you, Mike. I need to give you the annual information for the CDBG program, and that's a tough act to follow, so hope you can stay with it. So most of you are familiar with the CDBG program, Community Development Block Grant. I think we typically go through this on almost on an annual basis, more focused on housing programs. So what we're looking at is something a little bit different this year. But as part of that, we are required to provide information about the program in a public hearing setting every year to engage or to bring a project forward through that program. So I'll just give you some basics on that information. You all have a copy of that. And then you also have some copy about a specific project that Aileen Martin from Miracle will speak about. So again, the Community Development Block Grant Program, it's a federally funded program, provides assistance through the New York State Office of Community Renewal. Their programs generally can benefit activities such as housing, community planning, public infrastructure, public facilities, and economic development and microenterprise programs. Applications for housing assistance are submitted under an annual funding round. Applications for public infrastructure, public facilities, and economic development assistance are included with consolidated funding applications that are due on July 28th this year. Municipalities apply for the projects on behalf of either a private business or another community organization. The county can apply for up to $750,000 for public infrastructure projects, up to $300,000 for public facilities, up to $200,000 for micro-enterprise programs, and $50,000 for planning activities. An important note with community development block grant programs is that they must follow the national objectives of, I believe it's the HUD agency. Those national objectives are they have to either benefit low and moderate income families, they have to prevent or eliminate slums or blight, or meet another urgent community development need. Those are the basics. There's a little bit more information in here, but I will leave that for you to read, and that will go in a public record also.
What would be an example of public facilities?
We're going to talk about one, the project that we would like to consider, but there are many of them, Phil. I mean, they could be, I think fire halls sometimes come up under CDBG funding. County or other town municipal facilities could be community facilities. A community center, senior center, those types of things.
Food pantry?
I believe that very likely could, yeah. So what we're considering, what we would like you to consider is the county to be an applicant for a proposed project. I'm going to let Aileen speak a little bit more about that. It would come under the public facilities category. We've been working with NERCL for a number of months as they've been looking for additional office space. They currently have an office just down the block in Lowville and are out of space, and they're a growing organization and looking for some additional space, and they've identified a building that would be a great reuse to rehabilitate that facility. So I'll let Aileen give you a little bit more information.
Hi there, I'm Aileen Martin. I'm the Executive Director of Northern Regional Center for Independent Living. We are a disability rights and resource center that serves Jefferson, Lewis, and now parts of St. Lawrence County. We've been in Lewis County, well, probably almost 20 years, more than 19 years now. And have grown from a one person, Karen Balder was like our only employee for a while, and then Sandy Combs joined her. So we were in the old medicine store, if anybody remembers that far back, out on State Street. Well, we started actually in New Bremen with Lewis County Opportunities, and then we moved to the old medicine store to be in Lowville. And we've grown to, at this point, providing services for folks with disabilities and for businesses on disability issues to 17 employees. And we are renting space in Dan Duflo's office, but we've expanded so much that we're actually have been renting 2 apartments in the upstairs part as well, because we were trying to keep everybody under one roof. Knowing that that wasn't accessible for folks who have mobility impairments, and we're an agency that serves people with disabilities, it's been our priority for the last about 2.5 years to identify space that we could use and grow. A lot of the projects that we apply for and provide do cover 2 counties, and I'm noticing really unfairly that those employees, as we bring them on, are being housed in the Watertown office just because it's bigger, when in fact we could be providing employment in Lewis County if we had more office space here. So we've been looking for a variety of different locations. I've had conversations with Liz Swearingen, and I've talked with Pat Freilich and Eric and people at the bank, anybody I could think of who might be able to rent us some space. Our preference is to rent space. It's not to own space. We don't want to take property off the tax rolls. We would prefer to keep resources in the community and moving through the community. And So for the last probably 15 months, we had a committee, a facilities committee that's been driving around Loudville. So I'm sorry if any of you have seen my car driving by your house 3 or 4 times, because we've been driving saying, I wonder if that space is available. And we did look at the food pantry building, and we had some conversations with those folks as well, because that's a great space. It's big, it's nicely located. But we also saw, when it was for sale, the old train station on Jackson Street. And when this winter I was thumbing through what's available, again, going through Craigslist, driving around, I saw that it was for rent. So I called the number, and it was Tim Nortz's number, and he had purchased the building, and so we've been working with him to figure out a way that we could start moving into the front part of the building, which he's already renovated as like a phase 1 of the project, but help him renovate the whole rest of the building so that we could occupy the whole 4,000 square feet, which is about what we need. We also, just so you know, great space down at the Ames Plaza. We looked down there too, and the sales fellow was very helpful and did blueprints for us, but the owners really want that for retail space. They were not willing to make it into office space for us. So, so when Tim started talking about, well, maybe we could, start working on the rest of the building, I recontacted Eric and said, is there any way we could bring resources into the county to help make that renovation possible and complete and accessible for folks who have disabilities? And so the CDBG program was a thought. Eric consulted with some of his colleagues and said, maybe we can do this. So we're asking for permission to include this project as a nice kind of public-private partnership to renovate the old train station on Jackson Street and make it into office space.
Aileen, I got a little confused about your employees. You have 17 employees, local-based employees,
Right.
and you've got some in Watertown that serve here that you would bring to here if you had space for them. Is that what you said? Or
No, we have 41 employees right now, but some of my projects cover 2 counties. So for instance, right now, I've got a statewide systems advocacy position that's vacant. It covers Jefferson and Lewis County. I should be hiring someone who lives in Lewis County and having that person based here as opposed to in Watertown. If there's covering 2 counties, it doesn't matter where they situate. They're going to cover 2 counties anyway. But I can't put them here because I didn't have room. So they're up there.
so,
So I wouldn't move existing employees necessarily, but as positions come up, I would fill those seats from here.
and this would, if you were able to do this, what you're hoping for, does that satisfy future needs?
Yes. Yep.
This
Yes,
would be
it
a
does.
one-time thing then?
Correct. Correct. I don't like to move. And we've been talking, I prefer long-term leases. I really like thinking about what do we need for the future and having that work out. So so I've been thinking once it's finished, we would probably sign a 10-year lease. I just signed my second 10-year lease in Watertown. So we're pretty stable. We don't move around very much.
I don't either, but I'm old.
Well, NERPL's been around for 30 years. This is our 30th anniversary year, but that's still young, right? So, are there any other questions about the services we provide, or?
One question.
Yes.
In your discussions with the landowner, property owner, are they offering you a reduced per square footage rental?
If I can bring these resources in, yes. It will be
Because
reduced
if we
rent.
were to do this, we would have to be very careful that we aren't singling out one businessman and giving him a benefit.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, and that is, so I've considered that as well. And I kind of feel like that the agency we've had 3 board members and 3 staff members who've been scouring Loudville. It really does have to be in Loudville, because there are rules from the state on where you site an independent living center. And so the population area of the county is kind of where it has to be sited. So I couldn't, we have an office in Lyons Falls, but I couldn't make that our headquarters in Lewis County in Lyons Falls. I kind of have to keep it in Novel. And there's really not a lot of space. There's not a lot of 4,000 square foot office space available that's accessible. It's really hard to find. So yeah, I did think about that and how do you work when it's a private landowner? But private landowners, as long as NERCL has control of the building, which as a lessor we will, then that's permissible for this application. And the two functions that have to be met for the application is that we're serving low-income individuals and that we will expand employment for low-income individuals. So the other interesting and wonderful thing about NERCL is that most of our advocate positions are entry-level positions that do not require advanced educational degrees. So they are entry-level positions that do employ low-income folks. By law, 51% of my staff at least and 51% of my board of directors have to be people with disabilities. So we're also improving employment for people with disabilities in the community because that's almost the only way you can deliver peer services from someone who understands what it's like to experience that. So we satisfy that. Right now, 75% of my staff and 62% of my board of directors are people with disabilities. So we meet that requirement, and we'll be expanding employment for that group, which is a requirement for the application as well.
Thank you.
What's the level of financial request here?
So this, the program would allow for up to $300,000 for a public facility project. Again, would be.
I mean, this request. specific.
300. I'm gonna ask for everything. I'm gonna try to bring as many resources into Laval as I can. That's my goal.
Go big.
NERCL is working right now to get a preliminary cost estimate for what the renovations are. I think in Eileen's mind, she's going to keep it in that $300,000 range. If it was over, I think NERCL and the property owner would have to fund that. So the county's role is to be the applicant, where they pass through in essence on behalf of the organization and the property owner. Aileen is going to do, I think, the application work. Might assist her a little bit if she needs it.
We have it already.
And if we are interested, we would give her the go-ahead to keep moving forward. Again, we are required to do a public hearing, hear about this project and other projects if anyone else might have a project they're interested in, and then we're required to have another public hearing after a project starts moving forward.
With us being the applicant, is there a requirement that we need to put in matching a certain percentage?
There is not. There is no match required in this program. And as I stated, I think if the project was more than the grant funds, that would be something that NERCL and the property owner would be responsible for. So it's an unusual program that does not require a match.
Is there a caveat, if you will, in these type of contracts that require the property owner to sign a contract for a specific number of years?
No. There has to be a contract in place that says that NERCL has possession of the property. That for the purposes of the renovations, NERCL's in charge of the project. That the property owner relinquishes his control of the project.
My thought process here is if he got into it or someone got into it for 1 year and then said you're out and had benefit, there's got to be something in there that prevents that from happening, I would hope.
Yes.
One for a 10-year lease.
Yeah. If you get awarded, the state will have a contract that will get into those types of things.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments for the CDBG grant this time? Okay, we'll go to privilege of the floor. Any comments from the public on privilege of the floor? Temporary recess?
Oh, thank you.
No, it's still there.
There. Someone did something.
Shut the power off.
Please stand by.
Let our voices carry.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? Privilege of the floor at this time? Okay, moving on, presentation of communications and notices, Carrie.
Mark and Liz Swearingen and Reverend Matthew Laney acknowledged the personal contributions from legislators and courthouse staff to the Asylum Hill Congregational Church in memory of Liz's dad, Kenneth Hollister. Mrs. Abby Wallace sent a thank you note for the personal contributions to hospice in memory of her husband, former District Number 5 legislator, Patrick Wallace. Charlotte Van Zant had penned a note of thanks to commend solid waste department worker Lynn Widrick for helping her with a flat tire while at the Lobel transfer station. She admired his courteous and helpful manner. The members of the Harrisville boys varsity basketball team had each signed a letter of thanks to the board for acknowledging their accomplishments and for the opportunity to observe the board's meeting procedures. They cited and thanked the many local fans who attended and cheered them to victory, which gave more meaning to their winning achievements. The New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Office informed they would be considering the first Lewis County Clerk's Office located in Martinsburg for nomination to the National and State Registers of Historic Places. The board acknowledges receipt of a resolution from the Cattaraugus County Legislature in support of proposed state legislation regarding the prohibition of smoking in vehicles where minors are passengers. Senator Griffo and Assemblyman Brian Cole each acknowledged receipt of the board's resolution encouraging adoption of Senator Griffo's sponsored legislation to ensure continued viability of the state's existing large-scale renewable energy sources, most importantly, hydroelectric and biomass facilities. And that concludes.
Thank you, Terry. And now the reports of county officers and departments. Terry?
Legislators have each received copies of the County Treasurer's May report, the May 3rd and May 26th Highway and Solid Waste Audit reports, minutes of the May 15 Youth Bureau Advisory Board, April 20 and May 11 Planning Board, and January 17 Health Services Advisory Committee meetings. The Director of Weights and Measures, James Richmeyer, has submitted the May monthly report to be placed on file with the Clerk of the Board.
Thank you, Terry. Reports of standing committees. Bill, taxation, elections, IT.
Thank you. IT, broadband is progressing. They do have a new CEO, which kind of maybe might have slowed up things a little bit, but they're still going full tilt. They're still searching for a site for a base of operations because they need a 400-foot tower, and the initial one they were looking at would not allow that. We also talked about cybersecurity, which, of course, we had a presentation earlier. I would like to mention that we do have backups and firewalls in place, and Adam's in the process of adding 2 more firewalls. In taxation, one thing we talked about was the road names being the same in certain areas, because that's kind of a big issue for first responders when you have roads with the same name in separate places. And so the Real Property Department is working with these towns to identify these problems and recommend road names changes. But it is up to the town to do make the final decision on that, of course. And it has caused some consternation with some of the people that would be affected by that. At this point, one of the people that will be affected by that. And also, we talked in executive session about, for a considerable amount of time, about our assessment challenges, which Joan will host an executive session this afternoon, filling everybody in about that. And I'm going to keep that short. That's done.
Okay, Phil,
Maybe it's the mic.
yeah, will your committee be doing something about that static then, or?
I certainly hope so.
Okay, good.
Either that or buildings and grounds, one of the other.
I'm gonna say B and G.
Pass the buck.
They're not here, so.
Yeah, that's right, you gotta be.
Never had that problem when Craig was here. Okay, Rocky, social service, also age and youth.
Okay. Department of Social Services, from the Lewis County Workplace. The second annual Lewis County Job Fair is being held tomorrow, June 7th, from 10 till 2 at the Lowville Elks Club. There will be 31 businesses present with over 100 confirmed jobs. Any questions, please call the workplace at 315-376-5800. The workplace is also putting approximately 22 youths to work this summer through the Summer Youth Employment Program. Applications are currently closed at this time. The workplace is still looking, though, for youths ages 18 to 24 years old, as they can assist with employment opportunities for youth that meet income and eligibility criteria. If you are between 18 and 24 years old and unemployed or underemployed, please call the workplace at 315-376-5800 to see how we can help. The heat cooling program is still accepting applications for air conditioners for those that meet income and medical guidelines. Please call DSS at 315-376-5400 with questions, or check out our Facebook page. And then I have a motion. Motion from DSS to authorize DSS Commissioner Jennifer Jones to refill one full-time caseworker position effective immediately due to a termination.
Okay, moved by Rocky, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
From the Office of the Aging, Senior Day at the Lewis County Fair. Plans have been finalized for Senior Day at the Lewis County Fair, Thursday, July 20th, 2017. Entertainment will be provided by the Adirondack Playboys, the Adirondack Community Chorus, and the Nelson Brothers. It is anticipated that senior nutrition program farmers market coupons will be available that day. Outreach will also be a focus. And from the Youth Bureau. At the Youth Bureau's May 15th meeting, the board allocated the remainder of their 2017 OCFS Youth Development Funds in the amount of $2,675 to support the annual Lewis County Night Out event scheduled for Friday, September 8th at the Lewis County Fairgrounds. This annual event is sponsored by the Lewis County Sheriff's Office, Lewis County Youth Bureau, Lewis County Opportunities, and the Northern Regional Center for Independent Living. Due to the increase in the heroin impact upon our community, this year, during the opening ceremony, we will be recognizing Lewis County ambulance teams who are often first on the scene of crisis situations. And that's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rocky. Joe Bryan, County Officers, Veterans, Junkyards, HR.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, you're going to have, on the HR end, you're going to have a resolution for the Veterans Director's position to give you a little information on how we come to that. We're proposing to move Stephen to Director's position, and instead of backfilling his position with the same position he held, bringing an office specialist, which is a realization of $13,000 savings a year. So that's why it's proposed the way that it is. Second, I just want everyone knew that Derek's wife had passed away, but Derek did a great job for us. I gave his numbers, what he brought into the county and stuff, so I just, along with keeping Derek in the prayers, our prayers for the loss of his wife, I just think we need to also recognize that Derek did a great job for our local veterans and surrounding veterans. So As far as the junkyard, I missed that part of the meeting, I was late. So the only thing I have on the junkyard end is that we're proposing to make a local law change in our junkyard law. We're not finished with it yet. I will go to the junkyard review board meeting for a little while. I'll have to skip out of Liz's going away party for a little bit tomorrow night. But I will present to them kind of what we're thinking, so.
Tomorrow night, Ian,
Or Thursday night, I mean, Thursday night, I'm
He's
sorry.
gonna start early.
No, I'm just starting.
No, I was gonna miss her.
It would be easier if the junkyard was tomorrow night, but it's Thursday, so I do have to pop in and say something to him, so.
Brian, I'd like to thank you because we have a success story out in Diana. That one that's been ongoing for 8 years now is almost totally cleaned up with a fence over it and everything. I appreciate your aggressive nature and asking Joan to go to the court. I think the bottom line was they were afraid of Joan, actually, but however it happened, I really appreciate it, and we all do up there.
And the committee and everyone involved did a great job with trying to put some teeth into behind all this, because before it was just kind of gave them a notice and they ran away with it. And by putting some teeth into it, we have a little bit of pull with it, so. That'd be all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Jerry, Courts and Law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're still working on paging. We gotta go out and do some testing on that. We're waiting for prices for the interoperable channels on 3 tower sites. So we did qualify for the grant we gave us by doing the interoperable channels. So that part's taken care of. Pretty much that's it.
Good.
Thank you.
Jerry, that means then we don't have to pull out a contingency that we thought we were gonna have to? Is that what that means?
Well, we don't know where we're at. Originally, we put in, for the radio coverage, we're hoping that 350,000 will cover those 3 sites. Until we get a price back, we have no idea.
No idea.
To be honest with you. Hopefully, it's less than that, but
Okay.
we won't know until we get the final figures.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
Larry, Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next business leaders breakfast is next Tuesday, 8 o'clock at Boondocks in Lyons Falls. You can call the IDA, the RSVP 376-3014. Eric, Joan, and I continue to meet with Von Grid and Invenergy and the associated towns in the effort to develop a pilot agreement for those 2 wind farms. 17 students have signed up for the Mass Summer Camp with BOCES. And the Wind Blade Challenge was a great success. 30 students participated, with the Loudville Raven Raiders taking first place. JCC has advised us they will not be in a position for the proposed JCC Extension Center due to reduced state funding. They are still committed to providing courses on a smaller scale, working with Maple Ridge Center. And I believe our solar project has commenced and starting to take shape. Frank's in the audience there. I don't know if he's busy. Frank, do you have anything you want to comment on the solar project?
The solar project we should be breaking ground in July. They're still on track to reduce the construction timeline from 138 days to 101 days, and they're still, based on the schedule, committed to have us ready to tie into the grid November of this year.
Thank you. And that's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Larry. Greg, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Start out with the county clerk. There'll be a resolution in the packet for a new hire, and I have a motion. And I'll read that off first. I have a motion to authorize the county clerk, Linda Hoskins, to refill a temporary motor vehicle application examiner position effective immediately due to a resignation.
Okay, moved by Craig, second by Rocky. Discussion?
Why is it temporary? Chris, that's the one, the vacancy that's on the vacancy report, is that the one?
Yes.
Or is- Okay, all right, I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure.
It's a permanent position, but we have to hold it temporary because someone is out on a leave of absence.
That makes sense? I have a second motion to authorize. Oh, sorry.
Any other comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Go ahead.
I have a second motion to authorize Treasurer Patricia O'Brien to refill an account clerk position effective immediately due to a resignation. That's a full-time position.
Temporary.
Okay,
Temporary.
Yeah, full-time
Also.
temporary.
Yep.
Moved by Craig, and second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Joan, has the background check been done yet?
It's in the works, we don't have it finally. Patty did send in that information to the state to get that clearance. And I just want to remind everybody that Lewis County is an equal opportunity employer and we do not discriminate based upon age.
Thank you. All right.
Do I have to change my motion now? Okay, moving on. Buildings and grounds. Not a lot going on. Frank made sure that some of the issues brought up by Nymer Insurance Company were taken care of or in the process, such as grounding the fuel tanks at PSB and ground the generator fuel tank at PSB and build a roof over the generator fuel tank at PSB, and he's addressing all those. And I'd like to take this moment to recognize one of our county employees, Doug Nagy. And I think most of you know Doug. He's around here all the time. He works in the IT. But he saved Buildings and Grounds $2,000 recently. Many of you may have noticed that the emergency push bar on the door coming in was missing its cover for a period of time. That was due to the fact that there was a part that was going to cost over $2,000 to obtain and put in that door to make it function properly. And Doug Nagy made it on his 3D printer at home, and it works like a charm. And he has yet to submit a bill, but I suggest it's going to be far less than $2,000.
$19.99.
That's about what we're looking at, right? Has he submitted a bill yet?
That's not my,
I just saw you work with him. Anyway, I think he ought to be recognized. And I noticed he just filed with the county a DBA. So I think it's right up that alley. He's going to start getting into that. So a little plug for him. Treasurer's report, the tax auction results were favorable. The exact numbers I don't have because they're still trickling in. But it was positive cash flow for the county.
So we under budgeted on that, is that right?
No comment.
Mr. Halfway.
I can hear the wheels turning down here.
So Joan, are you going to address this evening the 30-cent surcharge on the phones, the cell phones?
The introductory law is in the packet. The
Yeah.
public meeting is set for next month, but if you want me to address it, I can.
Well, just let everybody know how that works and why.
Yeah, it's through the state. We were one of 7 or 8 counties that did not have the ability to charge for cell phones for maintenance of our 911 system. The state changed the law by chapter this past session, and now we do not have to go to the state to get for them to pass a law in order for us to have a local law to have that surcharge. The state will be gathering all of the surcharges for all counties. We are now allowed to pass a local law. to charge people with cell phones. We will get 30 cents per account on both prepaid and postpaid cell phones. And since our landlines are diminishing in the county, this is another small source of revenue that we'll have to put towards the maintenance of our 911 system.
What revenue do you anticipate? Or-
I think anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000. Jerry, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't,
We don't know for sure, but when we looked at it a couple of years back, that's what we had estimated,
Yeah, we
based
lost-
based upon the number of cell phone accounts.
we've been losing landlines because
Right.
people's cell phones have been working, so.
So, like, I have Straight Talk. When I buy a plan, it's gonna cost me 30 cents.
Well, it's already in whatever the charge is. Part of that, the companies, the cellular companies, will have to pay these essentially taxes to the state. And the state is going to forward, we hope, our share of the surcharge.
Wasn't it like with the landline 911, wasn't the state holding on that money? Wasn't that one of the problems?
Yep.
They weren't paying it to the,
There's two different issues, because we were getting money, it come directly from the phone companies.
That's not how it's going to be anymore for any county.
So they're
It's
getting
all
their
going through the
fingers-
so they're
state.
getting their fingers in it, so you don't know if you're gonna see the money or not.
I think
Well-
Sunday on the news, they said 50% of the homes in the United States have
So,
taken out their
Right.
home phones or landlines.
But I guess I take issue with the fact that it's gotta go to the state.
I know, I
We
agree
don't
with
know
you.
what's gonna happen with the money.
Yeah,
Well,
but yeah,
It
we
might
might
disappear, it might disappear into their general fund and get spent on something that doesn't
How much they cost.
amount to small. What's
Yeah,
that?
it's gonna pay for Medicare.
for is to fund.
The question I
Yeah,
have
David.
is that there's 27,000 residents
Okay.
in the county.
Correct,
Everyone had a cell phone.
correct.
That would generate $9,000. So how are we gonna get to 30 or 50?
Per month.
It's a month, so multiply that by 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
So that'd be 90 to 100, right? 120.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We sent out an RFP for, as you all know, we talked about it at the last meeting, for a 5 to 10 year strategic facilities plan for the county. And we received 3 responses to that. A decision has been made. You all should have a copy to review. Should have been in your mail of the 3 responses.
I haven't seen any.
Did they get in there, Terry?
What's that?
The 3 responses to our RFP for strategic plan, do those copies get made and put in there? Back in
No, I
there?
didn't make copies of all that, no. No, the copies are in my office, the 3.
We can review it in the office, and then the committee each got a copy, each committee member
Right,
got a
the
copy.
committee and Frank got a copy. I've got 2 extras in my office for anybody that wants them.
But look at them, and if there's any comments or anything, let us know. And it's quite a wide spread from somewhere around 40,000 to one company, I think Delta wanted $275,000 to do a study.
Terry, could you forward them on me through my email?
They aren't digitized, and I'm aware
They're,
of.
yeah, they're bound
They're
copies.
bound
Oh, they're
copies.
bound
There's
copies.
3
okay.
of them.
Yeah.
You can.
I've gone
take-
through mine, so
you
if
can
someone
have
wants
the
my
3.
copies, they can have them.
You know, I've got,
Okay, I'll talk to you afterwards.
Also, Frank had a presentation made by 2 gentlemen on the CEC application, the Clean Energy Communities. And correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, I think we had the distinction of being the first one to complete all the criteria to submit that grant application.
Yep.
And that was completed. We completed our criteria when we bought that little electric Ford that we have that Jenny, is she here? Do you like it?
That's probably
Well,
not the
yesterday
question.
was
It's
a
Duncan
marginal,
Sear.
but yes.
Yesterday in the rain, it started hitching a little bit.
We went a little far on the charge. We now know the radius.
How far can you go, Jenny?
About 97 miles.
mine's
We
fall.
thought it was over 200.
So you can't go to Osceola back?
No.
Okay. You gotta carry one of those little booster batteries. And that's $100,000. So this Rogers and Yinger came in and gave us their opinion, and they're going to help write the grant. And they told us the criteria that would be needed going forward and what the grant should have in it to be successful. And basically, we have to show where we've reduced hydrocarbons or great efficiencies on, so such as putting a new boiler in DSS. You know, even though they might be the same fuel, if we can show a significant efficiency improvement, then that would be part of the eligibility. And we're hopeful we'll get that, but it'll be a while. When do we submit that?
We still have one more meeting with the committee. Frank's waiting for a couple proposals to come in, but we're hoping that we're going to be able to submit in the end of June.
And the other thing that we're going to use it for is buildings and grounds down to the highway maintenance to get the natural gas line over to the building so we can convert that to a more energy efficient heating system. And I think that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good, Craig.
I take it after you, but
I was gonna say, it takes us right back.
Following your footsteps.
Craig, transportation, solid waste.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll go to solid waste first because there's very little going on with solid waste. We've sold approximately 150 bags of compost that we got from Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste. Pete went out and made contact with local realtors, or local, retailers, so that, you know, they could buy it through us, or we don't want to be taking away business from them either. So he didn't find anybody offended by us selling it up there. Phil asked a question about the trailer that we're hauling to Oneida Herkimer. He heard side bulging, and there wasn't any side bulging. There was a problem with the back of the trailer with the way it was designed a little bit. It was just minor, and it's been resolved. And the trailer is running smoothly. So that part took care of.
That was in response to you.
Yeah, thank you. And then the highway, they handed out a policy that for listing who the highway department will make signs for. Right now, the department's going to make signs that sell them at cost of materials only. Town highway departments, schools, village highway departments, all county departments, and New York State DOT. That's part of our shared services. Those are the only ones that it's going to go for. That way we don't have any issues with competing with Peebles and Equator Bannigan and all that. Paving started on the 22nd. He's hoping to get a lot done this year. Also, he brought up the planning forum, and that discussion went on. Possibly the co-op could put it in their newsletter to keep the corn back away from the road, especially up in Martinsburg. It definitely puts it right up close to the road. Plus, I think Lincoln and Lewis County was another place that we were hoping that they provide that information for the right-of-way law, the state. That was it for highway. And then I went to my first meeting with Double Play. They had quite a meeting. It was quite interesting. They've got some plans for the future. They did get the bid for the summer rec program here in Lowville, but they're going to change it so it's open enrollment to anyone involved. It's ages 5 to 12. It's going to be from 9 to 3, and it's not going to be restricted to Lowville residents. They're going to change it around a little bit. They're going to have music and art and dance and drama. And there's also, they're going to cover the adult programs for swim in the morning, and then they're going to do basketball and volleyball at night for the adults. So that's gonna be a little bit of a different change. They're gonna have 2 programs every hour, and it's gonna be a supervised lunch, but the kids have to bring their own. The staff is going to be trained for AED and CPR, so, but he wanted, and the open enrollment dates are June 13th, 15th, 20th, and 22nd, where you can go in and sign up right at the Double Play facility. And the program goes from July 10th to August 14th. And they are going to utilize a little bit of our money to cover it because they bid 34 and the school would only do 30. So they're going to use $2,000 of the county, what we do to work on that. There's some plans to get some new equipment up the Double Play facility, and they're going to make the facility, they'd like to get a bigger facility, but until then, they're going to make do with what they got. But they are going to get some matting across the floors so that there's less possible injuries. But they're using our money for that. This is all fundraising money. And Dr. Swift actually is providing a stair mill for the fitness center. He's picking that cost up. So thank him for that too.
He's providing what, Greg?
Stair mill.
Oh.
And that was it for the Double Play meeting, as far as what we're going to do.
Thank you for that report, Greg.
You betcha.
Greg, with Double Play, what are they doing as far as expanding their services down on the southern end of the bug?
Yeah.
Because that was the big pitch.
They are.
to us
They're looking at facilities right now down there. They're also giving assistance to Port Lighting in their summer rec program. But they are looking for a facility for after school, but they haven't found a suitable one yet. They thought that the one that used to be a tattoo parlor on the corner there, I think they had like sewing and stuff there.
Oh, the fabric?
Yeah, fabric place. They were looking at that, and they want to do a program, and they will. They're trying to get it started from 3:30 to 7 or 7:30 for after school. And they'll have pool and ping pong and music and computers to work with, so if they need after school help with homework and all that. But they're really, and they want to do one in Harrisville too. Over that way.
You said that at 6:07, and I'm gonna hold you to that.
Gotcha. Try to be part of it.
You want to tell by 6:11.
And he's got to work full-time now at the treasurer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. He'll be in bed by then.
Anything else for Greg?
Greg, did you sign off just kids in today? The fundraiser we got?
Okay, the absence of legislator Chartran, Rocky has volunteered to do the hospital report. Go ahead, Rocky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hospital report first, and then I'll do an auxiliary, hospital auxiliary report. But hospital, April was another good month financially for the hospital. The hospital is looking into upgrading their current IT system, which would cost them approximately $1.5 million. Congratulations go out to Danny Thomas, a certified nursing assistant, as the employer of the month for March. The hospital has a new chief executive officer, which was in the paper yesterday, but has not released the name. Contract details have not been finalized. The auxiliary report is the auxiliary's annual geranium sale was a huge success, with 3,200 plus geranium plants being sold, as well as 250 herbs. The auxiliary's art show will be held in the main lobby of the hospital tomorrow, June 7th at 6 p.m. The auxiliary recently lost a very active member, Sue Bush. Anyone that would like to donate in memory of Sue can donate to the Lewis County General Hospital Auxiliary Scholarship Fund. And that's the hospital report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rocky. We'll go to Andrea, Public Health, Community Service.
Okay, the Public Health Committee met on the 19th, and I was not there, but I do have some notes. The director reported that the state budget allocation for the physically handicapped children's program was not reduced from the previous year as originally thought. The cancer services program was reduced by 5% rather than 20%. The state rate changes for tuition-based preschool vendors are now being developed for 3 previous years. Public health will need to do payment adjustments once rates are known. There may be an impact on the county share. Staff are meeting with the preschool software vendors this month in order to secure a new software program for both the state education and Medicaid billing. This will replace the state's Medicaid billing system and the software for preschool. The first quarter Board of Health report, quality assurance and corporate compliance and quality improvement reports were presented by Penning. These are available to the full board. The Emergency Preparedness Regional Exercise was completed in March, and the strengths and challenges were identified and have been reported to the committee and to the state through the after action report. The public health planner has been working through the HIPAA and security policies to assist in making these standard across the county departments. And for community services, the community services convened a meeting with school superintendents and contract agency leadership and local providers. Our purpose is to identify students and families in crisis sooner providing them with the access to local services. We plan to meet with school counseling staff this summer and hopefully have a plan in place before school starts in September. Lewis County Priorities Council is restructuring. Membership is agency/provider leadership. Its task will be to identify community priorities and respond with solutions. It will partner with the Hospital Care Transitional Coalition and DSS Care Consortium to implement solutions. Community Services is facilitating a county service provider's response to a funding opportunity that, if awarded, could provide resources to address the identification of persons with depression / suicide and those with substance abuse problems. It will focus on staff training and coordination of services. The application will be submitted at the end of the month. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Andrea.
That's all I have.
And to coincide with Andrea's report, as in the past, I've asked Pat Falick from Community Service to keep us well informed on our opiate crisis in our community and what we can do about it. So, Pat, you have the floor at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess the past month has been focused on gathering information, dispelling myths, and giving people information so that they can make better choices for themselves. I started out tonight and gave each of the legislatures packets of information, which include a calendar that shows community events that are being done by the coalitions or the grassroots efforts, services that people can access and the contact information, as well as some basic information about heroin use, signs and symptoms. I thought you could take that back to your districts and have that available to your community members, and I will continue to provide that information to you. The other things that we've got going for the month of June is I was invited to represent Lewis County at Samaritan Medical Center's board boot camp is what they call it. The topic was heroin and opioid crisis. It was a very informative session that they held at their Summit Village. I was able to access the information that they provided to us and get permission to eventually dispel it to other people. And kind of partner with people to take advantage of the work that they did already. So that was a good use of time. On June 1st, I was required to submit to Albany the Lewis County Local Services Plan for 2018. And obviously, one of the things that we identified as a high priority is the heroin opiate crisis. And so that allows us to develop a plan countywide as to how we're going to address it, as well as it gives the information to Albany in regards to, in the event that there's some funding opportunities or there's some sort of resources that they can make available to them, they check that to ensure that we would benefit from that request. We've connected since we had the Credo Community Center's presentation at the Board of Legislatures. We were able to connect with the hospital's medical staff, and Credo and Dr. Paisanello will be presenting to the medical staff in regards to the services offered and medication-assisted treatment. That's happening at the end of June. June 15th, convened a meeting of some local community coalition or grassroots efforts and volunteer agencies. And our intent is to get people in the room together, try to organize and strategize how we can communicate exactly what's going on in the county, how they can share resources, standardize information that they're giving to the community, and that I think we've invited about 10 or 15 people. Phil helped me connect a nice lady in your district. She'll be participating in that. And if you all become aware of something that is starting out in your community in regards to this, please connect them with me. And we would just kind of bring them into the fold and help leverage that energy and passion. As a result of one of the presentation that was done by Christina Mills, Jefferson County District Attorney, some of the information she shared kind of had me thinking it would be a good idea for me to sit with the sheriff and the local police chief. So I'm going to take him to breakfast Monday morning, and we're going to go, I know. Anyway, that's what we're doing Monday morning, and an opportunity, I think, to get some information from the legal perspective. And there's a lot of myths and assumptions and confusion out there about what they can do as law enforcement, or why they don't do things. And like I said, Christina offered some good insight, and I think it would be an opportunity for us to educate our community. And to add on to the local, Brian, you had talked last time we sat in regards to the school systems, educating the kids, how we can coordinate that. And that, when I met with the superintendents and the service providers, that the heroin issue obviously was one of the topics we spoke of. So again, as we go through the next series of meetings to try to develop a kind of a process for people to identify and get people connected, but the education piece will be part of that strategy.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Good job.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Okay, and for my report, Andrea and myself attended the Mental Health Awareness Day, we did proclamation. Nursing Home Week opening ceremony, I did proclamation. Attended Valville Village Board meeting, May 17, inter-county meeting in Tupper Lake, May 25th. Next inter-county meeting is June 22nd, Saratoga. And REDC meeting is in Lake Placid, June 23rd. I think I'll comment more on some of these as we get to our resolutions. So we'll go on to the county manager report, which will be Liz's final report.
First, I'd like to recognize Terradin Leindecker and J.J. Hodkinson. You probably don't know this, but that is the two-person team that has been building the whole Tyler payroll system for the last 6-7 months. They've been putting in enormous hours, working some weekends and after hours. It's a big, big task, especially for two people to do, but they have really done an excellent job, and now we're in the home stretch. So on June 25th, we're going live with the payroll system. All that means is that the new software will be available to all employees to start putting their time in, and the first payroll cycle will be from June 25th through July 7th. We're going through training right now with department heads and account clerks and people who will be doing the input into the system. It's fairly easy and intuitive. The entry in the system is is an internet-based system, so it's available anywhere you have internet, on your iPad, on your iPhone. You can submit your time worked on any of those devices, and you'll also request your time off in the same piece of software. So I think it's going to be a huge leap forward. It's simpler, it's not quite as painful as the GL process was a couple of months ago. You may hear a little bit of concern among some department heads because we're going to lock down some policies, one of which is you can't use time unless you've earned it. And there was little soft spots in some of the departments on that. So, but that is a rule, and I think it's a good one to follow, that basically when you go in to request time off, if you haven't earned it, you can't use it, which is a good policy for us to have in place. We'll be getting rid of today, when paychecks go out, everybody gets a piece of paper. That's going away. People's paychecks will be online. They'll log into the system with a secure login. They'll be able to see their paycheck online and all their stub information, both for the current pay period and year-to-date. Eventually next year, in January, their W-2s will be online. So I think it's going to make the process a lot more efficient, a lot more effective, and if you see Terridan and JJ, they deserve a bit of kudos and pat on the back. And that is my final report, so.
Liz, with the time entry thing, you said the new policies. So then does JJ and is it Terridan?
Yeah.
Do they also check to make sure that, so there is a check on the department heads too then through that process? To make sure.
Okay, there's two different processes here.
Okay.
One is timesheets and one is time off.
Right.
Okay, the timesheets will go from, in most cases, depending on the size of the department, it's going to go from the employee to the department head.
Okay.
Now, in some cases, like in public health and DSS, there are supervisors who are also reviewing in that process. I have not set it up right now that the county manager will review everyone's pay sheets, because I get a document from the department where they have to print out everything, and then I flip through that and just look through the department head time sheets. On time off requests, those will go to your immediate supervisor. And some departments have asked that it go up to the department head. That's customizable by department, but there is a second set of eyes on every entry.
Okay, if I get paid online, then I'll never be able to collect my check. That's what you're up to.
Mike, I was told today, because I asked the question, that's automatic. You'll automatically get a check.
But you won't know it unless you
No.
figure out your smartphone.
You can print them out. You can print them out. That's fine.
Can you do that, Jerry? Okay.
Don't worry, Chris will figure it out.
Thanks, Liz. Patty, treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have some balances for you. Special legislative contingency, $395,000. Contingency, $357,698. Capital data processing is $119,476.57. Capital equipment highway share, $239,362.59. County share, $342,621.01. Sales tax, we are $431,000 ahead of last year at this point. Hospital is on time with their payments, so we're a balance of $1.9 million. Internal Service Fund, they still are, we had a positive month in April, but still behind for the year. And that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions from Patty?
Oh, that one's coming?
Yeah.
Yep, just wanted to mention that we do have some healthcare changes coming. As of September 1st, we are going to have two new plans that the employees will have to choose from, so we're hoping that that will help our internal service fund. So I'm hoping that some of the employees take advantage of the new offerings. There's going to be a high deductible plan and a hybrid plan for them to choose from. So we're hoping that that will help the.
Weren't we gonna raise health premiums?
They
That's still
will,
in
yes,
place.
that will take effect July 1st.
That's already in place.
Right. Yeah, the 10% will continue in every 6 months until the plan is in good shape. But
This is an option, this is purely voluntary. This is the follow-up from the GKG. They're gonna be in July doing some education meetings with employees, because our employees have never had choices. So they have to clearly understand what the trade-offs are. And the objective is, we'll lower the premium, but then, there's some additional risks that the employee needs to assess in their portfolio.
Thank you, Patty.
thank you.
Are there any comments from the public regarding the CDBG grant before we close the hearing? Hearing none, I'll announce that the public hearing is closed. We go to the report of the Ways and Means Committee for Rule 7, Jerry.
The Ways and Means Committee reports they've examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $837,683.86 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Moved by Larry, second by Craig. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolutions?
First resolution is to audit and allow the claims for $837,683.86.
Moved by Larry, second by Brian. A roll call, please, Terry.
Brennan,
Yes.
Sharp, Dahlhoff,
Yes.
Fawcett,
Yes.
Hathaway,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Halsey,
Yes.
Mowerhand,
Yes.
Mosier,
Yes.
Haybold.
Yes.
You have your introductory law, number 3 of 2007, providing for the establishment of wireless communication surcharges pursuant to tax law. And setting the public hearing for that local law for July 5th.
Moved by Craig, second by Larry. Discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, capital buildings and grounds.
Moved by Brian, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Transfer funds, county clerk.
Moved by Jerry, second by Rocky. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appointing Lewis County manager. Fill the unexpired term of Elizabeth Swearinger.
Moved by Craig, second by Jerry. Discussion?
Is it, if we don't agree to this, we should have to
I
stay?
think so.
She signed a contract, didn't she?
Any more interesting comments? All in favor?
My background check?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, economic development.
Moved by Rocky, second by Larry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement with New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for statewide interoperability communications formula grant.
Moved by Brian, second by Craig. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, E911.
Moved by Larry, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appointing members to E911 Oversight Board.
Moved by Larry, second by Phil. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, fire and emergency management.
Moved by Larry, second by Jerry. Discussion?
Jerry,
Ryan.
what is this anyways?
These are the Homeland Security grants they apply for every year, and it's a certain amount of funding, and they have to use it for special things like
Right.
radios or.
Well, because it says hazmat, so that's why I was curious.
This is this 13,000, this is what we get from Jefferson County every year.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, this is money that Jefferson County gets so much, and then they pass it through to us.
Okay, but I guess what are we using, I mean, because we don't have a hazmat team. I guess that's the question I'm getting at.
Well,
What are we
We
using?
do have a hazmat trailer, which is outfitted for decon.
Okay, so it's for the
So-
decon part.
Right, and
Okay.
they were talking about downsizing them a little bit, so they're more self-contained.
Right, okay, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, transportation department.
Moved by Brian, second by Larry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Amending compensation plan with reference to Department of Highways.
Moved by Brian, second by Craig. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Number 216 has been withdrawn. 217, to appropriate funds, Office for the Aging.
Moved by Rocky, second by Andrea. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between Office for Aging and Planet Staffing.
Moved by Andrea, second by Rocky. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement between County and Larry and Lucy Green for non-secure detention facility.
Moved by Larry, second by Rocky. Discussion?
Jerry, can you tell me what that's all about? That's not working, by the way. He turned it off.
Oh, it's, well, I'll speak up a little bit more. My understanding is it's for youth that they don't want to put in jail and stuff like that, and it's boarding while they're waiting, whatever's gonna
They've
happen.
done this for years. They take in
This is an ongoing,
Yeah.
kids like on probation and they keep them in their house and
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing an agreement with New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services for probation, pre-trial release alternatives to incarceration.
Moved by Jerry, second by Craig. Discussion? Jerry.
This is just a grant they received
Okay.
to help offset the cost of incarceration.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Approving addendum to agreement between Public Health and Bernie Bus Service for transportation of preschool special education pupils.
Moved by Rocky, second by Andrea. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To authorize agreement between Public Health and Central New York Care Collaborative for performance activities funding.
Moved by Rocky, second by Andrea. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried.
In opposition to proposed amendment to public service law to prohibit the construction of operation of a wind generating facility located within 40 miles of an air base or airfield.
Moved by Jerry, second by Greg. Comments?
Have you talked to Senator Griffith about this?
Yeah, I did call down to Albany and I talked to the chief of staff and he commented that he wasn't sure how the senator would be voting on it, but he didn't think it would go any further than committee. He said the senator was feeling a lot of political pressure from other members of the Senate, but he said even if it did get out of the Senate, there was no chance of passing the Assembly. He said that they just wouldn't you can consider it an assembly. That was his words. So, but at the same time, if he's feeling political pressure from one side, all the more reason for us to do a letter to reinforce our concern.
Right.
So,
Well, my comment on this, and I feel compelled to comment. Fort Drum is extremely important to us. And this is occurring all over the United States, where the feds are starting to recognize the encroachment, if you will, of wind energy on their radar systems. It may not mean that we would lose Fort Drum if it continues to grow in this area and within the 40-mile radius, but it might very well change the mission of Fort Drum. It could have a serious economic impact on this area. I know that they're working on resolutions to get rid of this shadow, but they cannot, to date, they have not been able to come up with an analog that will eliminate this noise in the system. So it makes things rather vulnerable for aircraft maneuvers in this area where these wind generators are. It's also of concern to the national weather forecast, because they can't accurately forecast the weather, which also has an impact on the mission of Fort Drum with the drones. So I have great concern that we don't do anything to affect a significant change in Fort Drum. And that's my only concern.
I also should point out the senator's aide did point out that it was recognized by the Senate and members themselves that this proposed bill probably went too far anyway. So they kind of, maybe they jumped the gun. They had more or less thought that there's language too strict in that bill. So that was the other reason that they thought it probably wasn't going to even go further than committee.
Mr. Chairman, can I also add something?
Yeah.
Because I also researched it and spoke with a couple of people from Senator Duflo's office and others. There is very stringent requirements that any wind project must go through with the department, with the federal department, with the FAA, and their oversight committee, and that's done on an individual basis for each wind project. So I think the mechanisms are already in place to really stringently look at any proposed project, and that's why I think the language in here where we're saying we support Drum 100% is important, but we also recognize that there's already laws and regulations in place. We don't need another layer of the state government on this particular issue, especially when it's just a blanket restriction with penalties.
Any other comments on the resolution? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing GIS web-based hosting agreement with Development Authority of the North Country.
Moved by Larry, second by Phil. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Greg, second by Craig. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Greg, second by Brian. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Greg, second by Phil. Discussion?
I was itching my ear, but that's okay.
That'll teach you.
But I am gonna make a comment that we've got $16 worth of paper involved in this $16 resolution.
You didn't raise your hand to ask a comment.
Itch my other ear.
Phil second and had a comment. Does anyone else have a comment?
Not Merrill.
Okay. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Brian, second by Craig. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Brian, second by Larry, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Larry, discussion.
I do have
Okay.
one question.
Jerry?
Increased expenses, is that going back into the recreation?
Which
thing?
which one are we looking at, the snowmobile?
Yes.
230.
Yeah, they're saying that that someone must have donated some funds, so they're putting it into the revenue and increasing their expense so that they can spend it now, spend that $810.
But it's not going into the patrol itself, a person?
It's not going into a person, it's going into a contractual expense. Parks and Rec contractual expense, a .4. It's not going into payroll, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
No, it's going into a contractual expense.
Okay.
So is that where you wanted it to go? That must be where we were told to put it,
I'm just asking, I mean,
Well,
for
contractual
supplies of some
expenses
sort.
that cover the part-timers that are outside personnel that he uses? Where would those people be, I guess? They're not on
Well,
payroll, right?
again, this money right here, we were told to put it into a contractual account, so meaning they could use it for supplies of some sort, for a miscellaneous expense, not for a person.
It's not
So-
dedicated to the
Right, it's not
recreation
for-
patrol.
It's for recreational supplies, not
Okay.
for,
Okay.
not for personal services, for recreational supplies.
Okay, but it's specifically for
Right.
recreation, that's I think
Yes.
what I wanted to know.
Mhm. Right.
Any other questions on the resolution?
no. The only thing is generated by performing a service. Doesn't this come back from us putting X amount of time in to collect this money?
Seems like a donation.
It
It
says
looks like
it's
a cultural
representing donations, so I'm not sure where it came from. I'm sure that the sheriff's department sent it down to us, telling us to
Okay, okay.
appropriate it to it.
Other comments? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Amending compensation plan with reference to the Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Larry, second by Phil. Discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Rocky. Discussion? Phil?
This doesn't reference labor costs. Are we paying for the labor, Jerry? Or- I thought the grant was taking care of everything, but this says travel.
This is,
This is for, excuse me, training the 5 officers, and they're short, and it's bouncing some back over to pay salaries and different stuff.
It says funds to cover the school
The resource officer.
can I answer that, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is from the grant that South Lewis received for the 16-17 year. They had some funds to give to us to train the SRO person, which we did in the beginning of this year. And so they have now reimbursed us for that. The actual contractual SRO person will be starting in September under their school budget for September, going forward, at that full rate,
This is reimbursing us for what we've done so far.
for the training of that
Okay.
person. Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Any other questions? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To transfer funds, Sheriff's Department.
Moved by Jerry, second by Larry. Discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing discharge of mortgage, Phillips.
Moved by Phil, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
235 has been withdrawn by Commissioner Jones as no longer necessary. 236, authorizing easement to Niagara Mohawk of the county's Outer Stowe Street property for purpose.
Moved by Craig, second by Larry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Approving agreement between Solid Waste and Auctions International.
Moved by Brian, second by Jerry. Discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Standard workday and reporting resolution.
Moved by Larry, second by Craig. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing tax foreclosure proceeds for capital cleanup fund.
Moved by Craig, second by Phil. Discussion? Somebody like to go ahead and explain this?
Yeah.
Last year, we established a fund to allow for the accessibility of that fund for cleanup of blighted properties. And that fund has been used and it's dwindled. So with the tax sales being better than expected, we as a committee decided it best to set aside an additional $40,000 in that fund for future blighted property cleanups.
Any other questions or comments?
So where did that money go, Craig, that was in there?
That
It was
money-
used for blighted properties like that. You
That
could
was
be
used-
specific
that
on the
was
properties,
used for
could you,
the,
Patty?
outside counsel we used on the Lewis Dairy property, who helped us.
I thought we appropriated money to pay
From
that
this
bill.
account.
From this account to
Yes.
pay for that bill?
Yes.
Which got us where?
We have the EPA now taking over that property, it looks like.
Which is what we wanted.
That's what we wanted to begin with.
You think? Nothing in stone?
Well, they're there, and they're working with the owner, so the steps we took helped to move that along to hopefully the ending result that we want.
Hopefully the end result, Greg, is the same thing that happened down at the area where the EPA took over the whole cleanup process. That's
And hearings, same
Yes.
thing.
And hearings, that's right.
Yeah, and that's a huge improvement.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the resolution? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
To appropriate funds, capital cleanup.
Moved by Brian, second by Craig. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appointing Lewis County Director of Veterans Services.
Moved by Brian, second by Craig. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Amended compensation plan with reference to veterans services.
Moved by Brian, second by Jerry. Discussion, I'd like to give you a little background on this proposal. Started by many of us within the county, heard a lot of comments from both Kraft and the village on their frustrations.
Here, one ahead of us. You gotta go, we didn't vote on Veterans Office keyboard specialist.
Page stuff.
Oh, yeah,
All right, let's do that one first. You win.
Page.
Okay, comments? Where'd I leave off? All in favor of that resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Authorizing payment of mediator for assistance and resolution of outstanding matters between the Village of Blaville and Kraft Heinz.
Larry, second by Brian. Now you lost my momentum here.
You were gonna explain to us.
I was, but I'm not good enough. Oh, I will. Many of us in the county heard a lot of frustrations from both Kraft and the village about ongoing problems they were encountering, just negotiating with each other. And idea we had in the office here was not for us to get involved, but to get a third party involved. And sounded like a great idea, so I did a vocal proposal to the board members, and seemed to have the support, overwhelmingly unanimous. So I did attend a village board meeting, offered the proposal, and it was met, I would say, quite well. They proceeded to have a good hour-long conversation, and kind of came out of that meeting thinking that they could possibly handle it themselves, the way I took it. But at the same time, I'm not convinced that everything's going to keep on going smoothly. Hopefully it would, but just in case that there is a stalemate, I think we should be ready and make our offer official. So there, henceforth, is why we are proposing this tonight. Any other further comments? Okay with this?
Mr. Chairman, I guess I would just add that I would hope that the village and the entire Lewis County community understands the economic base of Kraft Heinz to this community. I'm not suggesting that the village roll over and play dead, but from every conversation I have been in, this problem is infinitely solvable. This is a negotiation that has to take place. And right now, it seems to me that everybody's dug their heels in and wants to take a position to justify what they believe. It would be an enormous, I can't even get my head wrapped around what would happen to this county if you did not have that level of employment from that company. It's not about, I've read the letters that have been in the paper. The size and profitability of Kraft Heinz is totally irrelevant. The way you represent taxpayers, the village represents taxpayers, Kraft Heinz represents their shareholders. They're in business to make money. That's what they do. It is of the utmost importance that I think you all get involved in this now, that the community raise the stakes with the village trustees to say that this has to get resolved and it has to get negotiated quickly.
Thank you, Liz. Other comments? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Appointing members to the Lewis County Youth Bureau Advisory Board.
Moved by Phil, second by Brian. Discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the late resolution is amending compensation plan with reference to Lewis County General Hospital.
Moved by Andrea, second by Rocky. Discussion?
I got a question.
Right.
I mean, is this a new position, the Director of Rehabilitative Services? Says full-time, or is it a replacement?
It's a new position. We currently contract with Rehab Resources, so we would be ending the contract with that company and employing the staff through the facility.
Really?
And there's a savings to that.
There is. They currently charge us a $10,000 per month administrative fee in order for them to oversee that program.
Yeah, that's the whole program, right? There's more than one employee
We're
for that
asking to
program.
move 3, so that would be that full-time director, the part-time occupational therapy assistant, and the part-time PT.
You're saying you're going to save $10,000 a month by hiring the staff on?
Yes. We're already paying all of the fringe benefits as well.
In the retirement system?
We'd have to pay their company for all of their fringe benefits. So we're already paying that plus the $10,000 fee in order to have them in our facility.
I don't know. And what about the clinic licensed practical nurses? Are they being those new positions too?
Those are new positions. Two of our CNAs in the facility are getting done, and we're replacing the CNAs with LPNs. The LPNs can actually provide treatments, where a CNA is outside of their scope of practice to provide the treatment.
So you need these two to be able to provide treatment. And this is the clinic that just started up, the one where Dr. Shambo, is that the
No.
clinic?
One of the clinics is ortho, and the other is dermatology.
Aren't most of these positions mandated by Department of Health?
We have to have certain numbers
Yeah.
of staff. in
You're
order-
required that staffing.
Yes.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That completes resolutions, other business. Here is a proclamation from nursing home week.
Yes, the nursing home week, which you presented to in the week of May 14. By virtue of the authority vested in me as a chairman, to proclaim May 14 to May 20 as National Nursing Home Week. Recognize the dedicated, competent, and caring healthcare workers that are employed at Lewis County General and residential healthcare facilities. We dedicate this week to pay special honor for their service to our community.
By the way, that is a very nice ceremony. They held at the hospital every year to recognize the caregivers. And it's well attended and nice. Sometime you should try it. Coming up in July's meeting, it falls on July 4th, so we propose to change the date of our next meeting to July 5th. We have a motion on that.
Make a motion to change the meeting to July 5th.
Moved by Brian, second by Rocky. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And also, God willing, it'll be a nice warm day. We can go back to casual attire for the summer. I thought of changing it today, but I said I could use a coat. And is there any other business before we go into a short executive session? Any other business? Okay, we need a
It's
vote.
actually attorney-client privilege session, which is exempt. I just want to bring the board up to speed on some litigation matters.
So you're saying we can close the meeting?
Yes.
All right, so we'll have a motion to adjourn. Moved by Rocky, second by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.